The government doesn't want you to know about the Great Socket Conspiracy. Back in 1953, Eisenhower colluded with Big Socket along with a corrupt secret society, the Society of Automotive Engineers, to change the standard for bolts from square to hexagonal overnight. Every mechanic, do-it-yourselfer, and technician was forced to go out and buy a new socket set. Yeah, none of that is true. Anyway, today's video is about 8-point sockets, sometimes referred to as double square sockets. And yes, these are intended for use on square bolts. A 12-point socket will a lot of times fit, but you're not getting full engagement on the corners, which can result in the bolt rounding off. For this bolt, I had to use a 21/32 12-point socket, which is also an odd size. Bolts and nuts were originally square because it was easier to make them that way back when they were being made by hand. Once machine production came into play, most transitioned over to hex heads, although square bolts are still made to this day. On a square bolt, the distance between the corners is greater than on a hex bolt. In theory, this should lead to a larger clamping surface area. You'll still encounter square bolts on old industrial equipment, vintage furniture, furnace fans, garage door springs, and semi-truck brake adjusters. These sockets come in handy for drain plugs and pipe plugs, which are a lot of times square. They can also be used as tap sockets. Most taps have a square shank. There's no retention though, so nothing to keep the tap attached to the socket, but they do work in a pinch. These are early 2000s era Craftsmans. I have the full set in 1/2-inch drive, as well as a slightly older Craftsman set in 3/8 drive. For 1/4-inch drive, I just have a mixed set. Now, so far all of these have been SAE. I've never encountered a metric square bolt, but I do have a couple of metric 8-point sockets. They're made by Genius. As far as I know, they're the only company making 8-point metric sockets. 4-point sockets also exist. These are from the Crappy Sears socket set video I did a while back. 8-point wrenches were also made, but these are kinda rare. This one is a Cornwell. The government will never get their hands on my square nuts. I'll never use a 6-sided nut. You know what else is 6-sided? The number of the beast.
Now what in the hell are you talking about, Dale?
Square nuts only have 4 sides. You know what they say about 4? 4 doors, more holes. If you want your own set of 8-point sockets, there's only a few companies still making them. Proto, Williams, Wright, and Genius were the only companies I could find. If all you care about is removing pipe plugs, Sunex makes a nice impact set. SK had a 3/8 drive square socket set, but who knows what you're going to get if you order this now. I like having these on hand, especially for pipe plugs and for taking apart square bolts on vintage furniture. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to take a look at my other videos. See you later. Bye. Yeah, man, gotta get them dang old 8-sided nuts. Put that socket on the dang old ratchet, man. Ratchet go click, click, click.